Yo, sup squad, welcome on into the channel. My name is Kyle Meshna and I'm a landscape photographer and filmmaker based here in San Francisco, California. Today we got a tutorial for you on the Orton Effect, how to make some dreamy, moody, mostly just dreamy, awesome photos. It's something that I use in just about every single photo, pretty much every single photo that I post, and I often get asked a ton on my Instagram why and how I use the Orton Effect. So that's what we're doing today. Let's get into it. So first things first, let's answer the question, what is the Orton Effect? The Orton Effect was popularized in the 1980s by this guy named Michael Orton. He essentially used it to make dreamy images for landscape photos, and it's honestly been a pretty big staple of the landscape photography community ever since then. So if you are like myself and you are a landscape photographer, it might be good to have it in your toolkit because it's something a lot of people use. Now, of course, you don't necessarily want to be like everybody else, but again, we're all about building out that photography toolkit in this channel, so that's what we're gonna do today. Let's dive on into the computer and show you how it works. All right, so here we are in Photoshop, and I have already done quite a lot of editing to this photo. This is from a Jord Hammond FFA. Jord Hammond, if you haven't checked him out already, I'm not sure what you're doing with your life. Amazing travel and landscape photographer. And he took this photo of a friend of his at an infinity pool, a very popular infinity pool in Bali. If we want to just quickly look at the base edit, I started out with something pretty simple, just a nice, simple image of his friend on a Bali infinity pool. It looks pretty sweet, but I wanted to make kind of a dreamscape image. So of course, knowing me, I went pretty overboard and added in a reflection to some northern lights, which obviously would never be found in Bali, but I thought it was fun. And then ended up with this final edit after a lot of kind of playing with light and color and things of that nature. But the purpose of this one is the Orton Effect. So we're gonna go over how to create the Orton Effect. Key thing to do here is first, we want to duplicate the layer. You can do that by doing Control or Command J, or if you want, you can drag that layer onto a new layer, whatever you see fit, make a copy of your final edit. Once you have your copy of your base layer, we're going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, or Gaussian Blur, or Gaussian Blur. I don't know how to pronounce it. You can let me know in the comments. It's up to you. For this one, I go pretty heavy on it, to be honest. Some people go less, some people go more. I go somewhere in the 20-ish pixel range because I like to get a little bit heavy, and then we're gonna show you how to bring it and dial it down later on. This is something that I've said in the past before, something I will continue to say. I usually overdo because you can always undo it with a layer mask. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. Now we can already see already, this is pretty gross. Next thing we want to do is change the blend mode to lighten. And we'll already see we're getting that nice, beautiful, dreamy effect. And if this is your look and feel that you're going for, you could stop right there. As I mentioned, we're now going to take away from this overdone Orton Effect. So I'm going to take the opacity down to around 50%. So we could definitely be done right here. I think this looks pretty good, but I personally like to just apply that Orton dreamy glow to only the highlights of an image. So one way that we can do that is by painting it off with a luminosity mask or a layer mask of some sort. So the first thing that we could easily do is apply a layer mask. And remember, with a layer mask, white will reveal and black will hide. So we could either paint black and hide the areas that we didn't want to apply the luminosity mask to, for example. So we're just painting away the areas that we do not want it to show on, or we can be a little bit more selective with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this one. And what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna apply a luminosity mask. Now a luminosity mask is going to select white for the brighter parts of the image and dark for the darker parts of the image, and it's gonna do so in a much more natural way than we could ever do with painting. One super easy way to create a luminosity mask, it's probably the most basic way, and we can go into many other ways in future episodes, but a really easy way to do this is to start with your layer mask. So you create a new layer mask, clicking this button here, and you go Image, Apply Image, and then we're just gonna go ahead and select whatever color is most prevalent within the image. So for this one, it's obviously blue, but we could select red, green, blue, or just a mix of all of them. It's gonna just pick just based purely off of luminosity. But with this blue one, it's gonna be selecting the blue channel's luminosity. So you'll see here that it's already sort of applied a layer mask to just the bright parts of the image. We'll hit OK, and we now have a nice soft glow on just the brightest parts of the image. Okay, so it's now tomorrow. I was in the process of editing this video, and I realized that it might be easy for you guys if I made this simple process even easier by creating what's called Photoshop actions. What I'm gonna do is I am going to link in the description below 3 Orton Effect actions that will apply a light, medium, and heavy amount of Orton Effect to your photo. All you gotta do is click the link in the description. There will be a file that you can download from my website for free that will have 3 Photoshop actions combined into one downloadable file. So once you've downloaded those files for free from my website, you'll just have to double click that .atn file. That is a .action file for Photoshop. It will open up a new action folder within Photoshop. You'll have 3 different actions, medium, light, and heavy. All you have to do to use these actions is start with your finished layer, duplicate that layer, and then click whichever one you want, so light, medium, or heavy, click play, and you'll have, for the heavy one, the most amount of Orton Effect. And if you want the more middle of the road Orton Effect, click play on the Orton Effect medium. It will already apply the layer mask to it for you. You can always then take that, adjust the opacity, and or paint white or black wherever you see fit if you want to apply it more or less to some part of your image. And there you have it. Super quick one for you today. That is how to apply the Orton Effect with a little bit of Meshna flair to it. That's how I go ahead and do all of my luminosity masks to apply it to just the brightest parts of the image. This is another tool for that toolkit, building it out slowly but surely over time. So if this one was helpful for you, I would really appreciate it if you played thumb war with the like button, subscribe to check out more videos in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next one. How are we feeling about the mustache? I think I need to give a trim to the shadow. The 5 o'clock shadow is coming in a little bit too hot, so it's not quite as mustachy as I think it should be. But, you know, here we are. Anybody figure out what my tattoo is yet? Winner in the comments.